All right. Good morning, Chair Postman, Member Hollendroff, staff, and guests. The virtual lobby is open, the physical lobby is open, and we're ready to go.
Thank you, Dustin. Good morning, everybody. We will convene the Washington State Liquor and Cannabis Board Caucus meeting for Tuesday, July 12th, 2022. Member Garrett is on leave today for another meeting. And our first item today is rules and program update. I think I will just turn it over to the two of you, Dr. Hoffman, our Policy and Rules Manager, and Director Becky Smith from Licensing and Regulation. I don't know how you wanted to start, Kathy, because I know you have both general rules and some others, so up to you.
Oh, great. Thank you very much, Chair Postman, and good morning, Board Member Mollendroff.
Good morning.
Becky, if I may, I'll go ahead and start off with our social equity update. Kind of provide a general update on where we are, and then hand it over to you for anything that I've forgotten or that you'd like to add. So if I may, just to give an update from last week's board meeting, we're happy to share that on July 19th, so that's next week's board caucus, Colette Holt will join us and engage the board in a discussion of best practices and approaches for implementing social equity programs. Ms. Holt is a nationally recognized expert in designing and implementing similar programs. So we're looking forward to that discussion. And then just to give an idea of rules moving forward, we do anticipate bringing an updated rule proposal to the board in August. That would set the public hearing for probably early September, and then adoption towards the end of September. So I will hand it over to Becky really briefly. Anything that you'd like to share there, Becky, beyond what I have?
Beyond what you had, the only thing I would share is that I want to assure the both of you that work continues for social equity when it comes to the licensing program, looking for a third-party vendor and getting out that RFP, that we are also, that we continue to do work and presentations as well for work groups that belong to the task force. That but know that we continue to do the work. We've just hired 2 new staff to work for LCB. One of them is Sarah Davis, and she'll be our program specialist that will be directly working with the folks to assist them in getting licensed, and after they're licensed, and that helping them along the way. And then of course Tyrone's currently works for our agency already as a licensing specialist in liquor, had been on the cannabis side, but will be joining the team to process applications for retail. As you know, that Tyrone is also the co-lead for Build, and we think he's going to bring a great representation and experience to our group. And I think that's it.
Great. Couple quick things for me. As I said last week, I am glad that we pulled this down and looked at it again, and I know you've been working really hard on it, which is great. So the delay in that way is, I think, was absolutely the right decision, but that doesn't stop us from now wanting to move as quick as we can. So let us know if there's anything the board can do, whether that's a special meeting or something after we get the proposal to try to get to that public hearing, because I know there's certain timeframes we can't move. If there are any that we can, let us know, and I'm sure the board will be as flexible as possible to try to get that done.
Great. Thank you very much for that.
Yeah, and I just echo that. I think that really appreciate the work that everybody's doing. There is a sense of urgency around this conversation, and I support moving this forward with thoughtful discussion, and really appreciate the effort that's going into it to make sure that what we put forward is done in such a manner that we all achieve the goals that we're attempting to achieve here.
Thank you.
And to that, do you know, you know, sometime August we'll get it, but when, you know, so we have a caucus on the 3rd, I think, August 3rd. So one of the questions I have, let me just ask this way. When does the public get to see what we have?
So I will provide you with a hypothetical,
Yes,
and I'm underscoring that this is hypothetical.
yes,
So assuming, let's say, for instance, we bring a proposal to you, or we'd like to present a proposal to the board on August 3rd. We, the rule staff, would have materials to the board by the Friday before the board meeting, and then Dustin can publish them as soon as reasonably possible.
okay, right. So
Thereafter, yeah,
so we, you know, at the very latest, it would be 24 hours before that meeting,
correct.
the caucus, right? Dustin, you have to have that material in hand before we post it, but we could have it Friday. Okay.
Yeah.
Friday,
A
hypothetical,
Friday.
prior to a hypothetical caucus on a hypothetical Tuesday. Yes.
Typically, yes. And to be honest, really, our goal as rule staff is to have those materials to the board, you know, even before that, if possible. So
Yeah.
that you'll have an opportunity to review, but we want to make sure we get it to the public as soon as possible.
And then one of the other variables that I'm wondering about, I asked you this yesterday, and so I apologize for not having this fully in my head. So let's change the date for the next hypothetical, just for the sake of confusion. Let's say it's the 10th that we have it presented to a board caucus. What is the timing then? How quickly could we hold a public hearing on that? If the board approves it?
Well, can we use the 3rd?
Okay.
Because the code revisor's calendar kind of goes
Oh,
off of
right.
these
Okay.
specific
Yes.
dates that we file 102s
Okay.
on, or the
Okay.
rule proposal on. So hypothetically, if we file the CR 102 on August 3rd, it would be published in the Washington State Register on August 17th. And that's important because the soonest we can hold a hearing after that publication date is 20 days after that publication date.
Oh, okay.
So the soonest we could hold a hearing would be September 6th. September 6th is a Tuesday. So we could hold it the next day on
Right.
September 7th, which is a board meeting.
Right. Okay.
So there is some.
So we can't rush the public hearing piece of this from when
No.
the board approves the 102. Okay, got it.
That's
Thank you.
correct, because there needs to be enough time, A, for publication, B, for people to send us formal public comments.
Right.
And all of that is outlined in statute in the Administrative Procedures Act.
Then after the public hearing, the staff has to have a chance to review those comments that we heard and other public comments that came in, not through the public hearing. When that's compiled, et cetera, vetted, then we could move to final
Adoption, yeah, considering adoption, yeah. And there are a lot of variables there because, for instance, remember how many public comments we received on the quality control rules?
Yes.
A significant number of comments. So it's our agency's responsibility to respond to each of those meaningfully in the concise explanatory statement. And so there's some variables that kind of weigh into this as well that depend on when we can get that final adoption package ready to go.
Okay.
And another variable to consider is that sometimes during an open public comment period like this and at the hearing, folks will bring ideas to the board that we hadn't contemplated before, or they might suggest a minor rule tweak or a major rule tweak that makes sense.
Yep.
So that might, create additional delay in moving forward.
Even board members might have an
Even board members, that's correct.
and then
it's possible.
From licensing's perspective, did you mention that you are in the process of hiring the contractor already? Or
No, we have to still release RFPs. So what we were waiting for, and it looks like we'll move forward without it, is that that we were waiting for information regarding the DIA areas from the University of Washington. And so there's a stoppage there right now that they're wanting to make some changes into the data that they're pulling. So they have to go back to the task force. That's not scheduled until late August. We have requested that they do a meeting before then and expedite that, because the DIA areas, we will need that information, not just for for the third party, but we'll need that as we go out and do training. So once the rules are completed, we want to be able to schedule training, but we also want to be able to schedule training in some of those DIA areas that not just virtual but in person. And
So we
so
need to know where
without that, we need that information. So we're hoping for that sooner than later, but we've been waiting since May, and yeah.
Okay.
So we are relying on some other folks to get some of this work done.
So we definitely have these other kind of pressures that are slowing things or could or be hurdles. I guess, again, just to enforce our goal, and I know this is both yours, Director Smith and Dr. Hoffman, is no one's waiting on us. We need to be ready for each of those hurdles, and it seems like we're going to be pretty close to back on track at this point. So it's looking good to me. So
It is.
okay.
All right, so go
One
ahead.
last one, I'm sorry. And so next week we'll have Ms. Holt here to talk about her experience in this, and she is an expert in it. Will we also have staff there to respond if the questions come up?
Yes,
Well, okay, good.
yes.
Great. If at least the two of you could join us for that, or other staff on your staff if you want. So that's up to you.
Happy to be there. And actually, I'm looking forward to the conversation. It'll be an
Yes.
interesting discussion. Yeah.
Cool. Okay, great. Thank you. All right.
So moving on to additional rule updates, unless there's anything else we need to, any additional information on social equity moving forward. Okay. I just want to speak briefly to plant canopy. We are going to initiate rulemaking on plant canopy. And at this point, we're looking at the middle of August to bring a CR 101 to the board for consideration into revising, and that's WAC 314-55075. And that's based largely on some of the feedback that we've received, and then, more recently, application of the rules. So we hope to bring that project forward. I'd hope to bring it forward a little sooner. However, since the 6th of July, we have received 6 rule petitions on cannabis rules, which is a little unprecedented. We've, in 2019, we received, I think, roughly 17 rule petitions. There was an extraordinary number in 2019. But they didn't come in all at once like these have in the last week, actually less than a week. And these cover a broad range of topics. So it does take rural staff a significant amount of time to do the research necessary. A lot of time rules petitions come to us with just a concept that staff needs to explore. We need to talk to everyone else who might be interested in, well, I shouldn't say interested, but who can help us understand the request from within the agency. And then sometimes we need to reach out to the requester as well for additional information. And that takes staff time. So these rule petitions range from asking for cloud services on the cannabis side, to adjusting our sampling rules, which have been revised in quite some time, to asking that the board consider no longer vertically integrated system. So we've got a really broad range of topics that folks have asked for rule changes on. So Luckily, our 3 rules coordinators are working hard on moving those forward so that we can have the capacity to do the things that we actually had on our agenda. And that is advertising, THC compounds, some other projects as well. And then adding in this plant canopy rule project as well. And Jeff Kildall will be leading that work. Just wanted to give an update on that. So, and then offer it up for any questions.
Thanks for the update on the petitions, which I know we'll see soon. So this for really both of you, the workload is increasing, and partly victim of your success and our success. We do, I think that we've been telling people, well, maybe rulemaking is the way to go on this or that. So people are thinking that. But if you get to the point where we either need to triage some of that agenda, let us know, because we had things we all wanted to do without those petitions. And if either, and this goes for anybody internally, if the workload is such that we need additional help, let the board know, and we'll take that up. I'm sure we will find many allies among our regulated community to help us in the legislature if we need additional funding to handle the rules petitions that are coming and other things like that, because it's an essential part of what we do. And I think that we really want to be able to maintain our agenda itself that the team looked at and said, here's what we should do this year. Plus, then we have to mix in these things that are coming at us that you don't necessarily expect. So anyhow, we're standing by if someone needs, additional resources.
Thank you.
All right. Any other updates on those or anything else?
That's it until next week.
Okay.
For rules, at least. Thank you.
Thank you both. Thanks for all the work you're doing.
Bye, Becky. Bye.
Bye. Have a good day.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
We're to our now final item, which is board member and executive assistant reports. Dustin, anything to share today?
Nothing additional. Thanks, Chair.
Okay. Jim?
Oh, I have nothing today.
Okay, me neither. All right, great. Well, with that, we will adjourn till next week. I think it'll be a really interesting caucus next week. We get to really get down into the nuts and bolts of some of the social equity mechanisms that have been used and good Q&A, I'm hoping here. So with that, we will adjourn the board caucus meeting for July 12th, 2022. Thanks, everybody. Have a nice day.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay.